Thank you for tuning in to tonight's presentation of Concord TV's annual awards. I'm Concord TV Executive Director, Josh Hardy. I just wanted to tell you very briefly about our mission and our purpose. Our studio and offices are located within Concord High School, which is where we've been since our founding over 20 years ago. We are a nonprofit community media station that provides video production resources to the City of Concord, Concord School District, residents, and nonprofits. Our staff creates video content, but we also provide technical training and equipment rentals so Concord area groups and individuals can record their own video content. This collaborative media environment is part of what makes Concord TV a unique experience compared to for-profit media organizations. One of our main purposes is the managing of 3 cable channels: Education Channel 6, Government Channel 17, and Public Access Channel 22. As the media landscape has shifted, though, to online media content, our station has adapted over the years, so now all of our videos can be found online via our website, yourconcordtv.org, Facebook, and YouTube. Now, let's take a look at the studio. This is our full HD professional TV studio. We're able to record studio programs as well as PSAs from this space with the always popular green screen available as well. Several times a year, we provide the studio for Concord nonprofits to record PSAs for free, as well as providing election candidates the opportunity to speak with their constituents. During the school year, our studio is used by students 4 times a week for CHS Live morning announcements, and that is a program that is entirely student-run. Now, if you're camera shy, but you still want to get your message out to the community, you can use our state-of-the-art podcast studio. This is our training room, where we typically teach people how to use Adobe Premiere, Adobe Photoshop. We teach camera classes, marketing workshops. It all happens usually in this room. When we host video summer camps over the summer, this is also where that happens. Tonight, we celebrate those in the community who have played a valuable role in helping Concord TV carry out its mission. In lieu of an in-person event, tonight's video will acknowledge each of the 11 recipients, each of whom will be receiving a framed certificate and earning a place in the proud history of Concord TV. We hope you enjoyed tonight's video, and congratulations to all our recipients for their hard work and dedication to community media. To kick things off, this year's Community Partnership Award has 2 recipients. First, the Walker Lecture Series, who we partnered with in 2020 to record virtual programming which was made available for free to the Concord community. It was their vision that made this possible at all. Here to talk a little bit more about this on behalf of the organization is Walker Lecture trustee Paula Demers.
Well, on behalf of the Walker Lecture Series, I would like to thank you so much, Concord TV, for this award of the Community Partnership. Thank you so much. It means a lot to us, and we're so grateful to have you guys. My name's Paula Demers, and I'm one of the trustees of the Walker Lecture Series, the Walker Lecture Fund. And just to kind of give a little idea as to what we are and what we do, basically, this fund was established back in 1896 by Abigail Walker and her husband, who had passed away, Timothy Walker. And they basically wanted to provide a fund that would give the people of Concord and the Concord area a legacy of culture. And so the money luckily has been invested, the trust has been invested very wisely, and it's enabled us to produce about 14 or more performances a year, which is just wonderful. And the kicker is they're all free, which is just spectacular. So we try to have relevant programs, and the programs range from so many different things: dancing, singing, instrumental, pianists, bands, different concerts, and of course, lectures, travel logs, and lectures about different things. And the other thing we do with our fund is we give grants we award grants to other nonprofits. And the stipulation is that these nonprofits have to provide free entertainment to the Concord area. So that's, I don't know, just another way of giving out to the community and that sort of thing. So 2020 was a little challenging on all of us, but luckily we had Concord TV to help us continue our programming. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Concord TV, we kept our performances going in Concord TV. Some of them, they would come and record them. So our performers would go to the Hatbox Theater right in Concord, and with no audience, they would perform, and Concord TV would record that performance and then show it on their programming. So this reached so many people, especially during the pandemic, but also just, in general, it reached so many more people than perhaps we normally get. The other piece was like, for example, some of our performers are from all over the country, and we were able to do a live Zoom performance. This was a lot with our lecturers and that sort of thing. And we did a recorded Zoom performance that Concord TV then again used as their programming, but also produced it live, which is what we're all about. So we were able to do what we do best because of Concord TV. So it was just spectacular that we were able to do that. And what's wonderful, that because of what Concord TV did, we were able to provide this programming for people outside of Concord, which is, like Walker Lecture Fund 2.0. I mean, that's just spectacular that we could reach so many more people. Many of our audience members who have moved away and have not been able to participate in our programming, they could now because they saw it on Concord TV through the, these recorded programs. So that was a huge, huge win-win for everybody for 2020 during this pandemic, where it was such a challenge. We were still able to produce, I believe we produced our full season.
Thank you, Paula, and congratulations to Walker Lecture Series for this recognition. Our second Community Partnership Award this year goes to the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce. Over the years, we've partnered with the Chamber in recording and live streaming so many events, such as Pinnacle Awards, Citizen of the Year, State of the City, Leadership Concord Testimonials, and that's just naming a few. The community has benefited greatly from this ongoing partnership.
We are just so excited and pleased to be the recipient of Concord TV's Community Partnership Award. The Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce and Concord TV have a wonderful relationship, and sometimes I think this award should be the other way around. We're very grateful for the great work that they do in the community. Whenever we give Concord TV a call, they're always there. They help promote our events. They are present at our events. They make it possible for people that can't attend the events to see them afterwards. We're just grateful for their presence in this community, for the service that they do, and we're honored to be a recipient.
Up next is our Kent Hemingway Education Award, which we give yearly to a Concord School District faculty or staff member who significantly contributes to the education access programming part of Concord TV's mission. The award is named after former Concord School District Principal Kent Hemingway, who was a huge advocate for Concord TV early in our existence. Previous recipients include Concord High School's very own Anna Marie DePasquale, the CHS Music Department, Betty Chambers, just to name a few. This year's well-deserved recipient is CHS Assistant Principal Kylene Chalaskis. All right, good morning, Concord High School. I'm Josh Hardy, the Executive Director of Concord TV, and I was told I don't have much time, so I did want to join you this morning to recognize someone who has kind of been the workhorse behind CHS Live, who really hasn't gotten a lot of recognition for putting a lot of extra work in, going above and beyond. As you know, Concord TV provides the technical support, but there is an administrator who actually makes all this happen. There's a lot of people in the studio, and somehow this show runs thanks to this person. So Kylene, could you join me up here for a second? I'd like to present Kylene with a certificate from Concord TV for our annual. This is Concord TV's Education Award that we've given out historically to significant contributors to the educational side of Concord TV's mission. You've put so much work in when things went virtual. You said, look, we got to keep the show running. When we said everyone needs to be involved, you found a way to get everybody involved. So thank you from Concord TV's staff and board for everything you've done. And that's all I've got. But again, our heartfelt appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Eugene Rudolph Technical Award is given each year to a community member who significantly contributes to the technical aspects of Concord TV, helping us overcome challenges that allow us to better serve the community. The award is named after Eugene Rudolph, a Concord resident whose tech know-how contributed to the building of our studio back in the early 2000s. We're always grateful for the many hours he volunteered to make this facility here a reality. This year's recipient is a familiar name, at least to me personally, because he's my dad, Tom Hardy, and not the actor Tom Hardy, just wanted to point out. In the spring of 2020, we were approached by the school district about live streaming their high school graduation at Memorial Field, which is an area with no internet connection. Through an elaborate system of point-to-point wireless, my dad was able to use his expertise through past experiences to provide a reliable internet connection right there at Memorial Field specifically for that live stream. And thanks to his innovative thinking, over 6,000 people were able to watch the graduation live on YouTube, which easily set a record for most views of a Concord TV live stream. The David Myrtle Programming Excellence Award is named for our longtime volunteer and former board chair David Myrtle, who has also hosted What's Happening at the Audie, making it one of the longest running public access shows in Concord. The Production Excellence Award goes to a local producer who demonstrates consistency in submitting content, as well as terrific video quality. This year's recipient is well deserving, and it goes to the St. Paul's Episcopal Church for their weekly services that air on public access Channel 22.
I'd like to thank my mother and my father, my brothers and sisters, my aunts and uncles, my cousins, my shepherd.
What are you doing, Robert?
Oh, and of course my very best friend, Paco.
I repeat, Robert, what exactly are you doing?
I'm practicing my speech. I've just won an award.
You have? Congratulations, Robert. What kind of award?
It's the Concord TV Production Excellence Award. It's a tremendous honor.
Yes, it is indeed, Robert, a tremendous honor. But I'm afraid you aren't the recipient.
I'm not?
No, Robert. St. Paul's Episcopal Church won the award. You and I are just part of the team.
I haven't won an award?
No, my friend, not this time. But St. Paul's couldn't have done it without you.
That's some compensation, I suppose. But I have to say, I feel a bit sheepish.
Oh, never mind, Robert. We all make mistakes. Come on. I hear somebody left the gate to the cornfield open. Shall we?
I'm all ears, Paco. Get it?
Back in March 2020, like so many others, St. Paul's realized that we couldn't meet in person for at least the short term, turned out to be the long term. We had a communications coordinator at that time named Ashley Jane Boots. She's since gone to seminary to train for the priesthood, but back then she and I had to learn video editing pretty much overnight. And we started producing worship services that our parishioners could participate in online. Our amazing director of music ministries, Heather McGonaghy, produced beautiful music along with her husband Larry McGonaghy, who is an expert at the technical aspect of putting music together online. And between them, they came up with the idea of the Quarantine Choir, a choir of individuals who each recorded their pieces at home, their parts at home, and then Larry and Heather put them all together into a beautiful, harmonized piece. As we gradually moved back into meeting for outdoor worship, my husband Michael showed that he himself is technically expert at filming. So he became our cameraman, and together this amazing team continued to produce the best possible worship for our family, our parish family. But of course, the most important people of all are the parishioners themselves. Throughout this time, our members took part in recording readings and worship services and meditations and all kinds of wonderful additions to our online offerings. So I am delighted to accept this award on behalf of the staff and parishioners and of course Paco and Robert, because they're the ones who earned it.
Concord TV's producer support program allows for local producers to rent our studio with technical assistance. We've created thousands of hours of video content through this studio availability over the years. This award is named after Rosemary Lanier. Her program, Rapping with Rosemary, has aired on community television since the mid-90s, and it serves as a shining example of using Concord TV to share ideas and share stories. This year's recipient is the host of Prison Chapel of the Air, Ted White. Ted has been a consistent producer of public access programming, and we greatly appreciate being able to work with him. And during the pandemic, he got especially creative in how he produced his show. So enjoy this video interview I had with Ted recently.
And so my name's Ted White, and I'm with the Prison Chapel of the Air. And Prison Chapel of the Air was started by Jim Blanchard years and years ago. And actually, he was toward the end of his life. And the way I got involved was he asked me, he said, Ted, would you continue with Prison Chapel of the Air? And I said, sure, Jim, I'll pray about that. Well, the answer, of course, was yes. And so that's how I actually got involved initially with Prison Chapel of the Air through Jim Blanchard. And so I'm just kind of carrying on his legacy. And so Prison Chapel of the Air, we'd like to interview former inmates whose lives have been transformed. Now, these are guys that have come from various backgrounds, very difficult situations. And so I've met all kinds of guys with various backgrounds. And I do know that, they're in there for a particular reason. They committed a particular crime, but that doesn't mean their life has to be ended. And so I've talked with a number of guys who have come from gangs, very violent gangs, and yet their lives have been transformed. And the way they were transformed was the way my life was transformed. And my life was transformed back in 1979 when my roommate just left a New Testament on the desk. He didn't tell me about it. He didn't ask me to read it. But when he was out of the room, I picked it up and read it for myself and came to the conclusion of who Jesus was, and he changed my life. And so I'm absolutely certain, because of how he's changed my life, that he can change anybody's life. And so these guys that come from some of the very, very violent backgrounds, their lives are transformed. So let me give you one example. One example is a fellow who came from a gang, very violent, and now the guys describe him as this: gentle, humble, compassionate, caring. And wow, if you knew this guy beforehand, you didn't want to be around him. But now he's just totally changed guy. And so that's why I love doing Prison Chapel of the Air. When I come on, I like to interview guys who have been transformed so the fellows in the prison can be encouraged by somebody now who's on the outside and is continuing on. And I know a number of guys on the outside whose lives, they're integrated back into society. They're contributing to society. Of course, when the virus hit, it hit all segments of the society. And as a pastor of a church, we had to be a little creative. And so I'm not a tech guy per se, but I have learned to be a little bit of a tech guy. Not a whole lot, but enough to get me in trouble, I suppose. But anyways, to utilize it through the church. But then it was just an obvious option for Prison Chapel of the Year too. Now the benefit through this, one of the exciting benefits is I love coming to the studio. I mean, that is always the best as far as in person. Like even today, it would be the best to be in person. But this is a great technology to use. And so we adapted it. And so a benefit from this was I can interview people wherever they're at. And so I've interviewed people that are overseas. And so that has been a huge benefit. And it gives a great flavor, a different type of flavor from somebody overseas and bringing their context into our context to help the guys be encouraged that God changes people wherever they're at in any culture as well, whether it's a prison culture or whether it's a culture of another country. And so that was one of the huge benefits. And so we just kind of adapted actually fairly quickly. Somebody in the church, they knew about technology and they just kind of gave me some tutorial. And then that's where we started as a church. And then again, as I said, I just adapted that as you guys went online too to do these type services.
The Government Partnership Award goes out each year to a staff member or department of the City of Concord for going above and beyond in the creation of city videos that air on Channel 17 and on the city's YouTube page. This year's recipient is Beth Fenstermacher, Assistant City Planner.
I am Beth Fenstermacher. I'm the Assistant City Planner for the City of Concord. Well, in my role, I back up our city planner when she's not around, but also I am doing development review, so for any private development that comes in, but I'm also the staff liaison for Conservation Commission, which also includes the tree subcommittee and the trail subcommittee, and then also work with the planning board, review projects for them. Planning is very important to have a community that people love. I think Concord's a very special place, and it has to do with the planners and the staff and planning boards that we've had in the past, and also the conservation commissions we've had in the past. It's definitely shaped the type of city that we have with large open spaces, but also the dense urban growth that's all done by design. And I think it's placemaking, so it's creating a place that people love to be and people want to be. So the Conservation Commission in Concord has been around for 50 years. This is their 50th anniversary this year. And it's, people that are really invested in protecting the natural resources. So it's protecting our forests, which provide habitat, but also timber, which is, an economic development tool for the city. It's how we pay for certain things. For trails, get paid for through our forestry budget. And it's for ecological services that often are overlooked as part of any planning and development, but it's probably one of the most important. The first Concord TV program I did was Community Connections with Doris Ballard, and she reached out to me after I had done a presentation, I think it was with AARP, or it was one organization that I had just given a presentation about the trails, and she reached out to me and said, hey, let's kind of have you on the show. So that was my first introduction to Concord TV. And then after that, I worked with the Capital Area Wellness Coalition to do a trail passport, and it was a program to get people out on the trails and give them a little bit of a reward for being out on the trails. So we did a little PSA, and I think they were pretty well received, both with the Trails and Conservation Commission, but also the residents. And we also, Northern Pass, did our informational video about that, which I was approached to do. So mostly you guys approached me first, and then we kind of latched on, and that was sort of the seed planted and just kept on rolling. I think it's by doing these videos, people, I don't think, understand what's out there and what's available. And then recently we've done the pollinator gardens. We did our zoo garden video. So a fun one that we did was with Leave No Trace. And that was sort of, we did some role playing out on the trails. And that was kind of a fun one, just to get that I've been trying to figure out ways to get the Leave No Trace information out there besides just signage. So that was a good start. I think we want to definitely do more and build off of that, but that was a fun one. I really appreciate your interest in the outdoors. I think that's what made it so successful, is that something that's your passion as well. So I think that's really helped us. You've always been excited and ready to get out there, and I have a picture of you like filming Ron Klamarzik in the wetland brush. It's just really cool that you're willing to get in there and work with us to help us get out to the community. So it's been great working with you as well. So it was an honor to receive this award, and I look forward to working more with you on this in the future.
The Charles Russell Volunteer of the Year Award is a pretty self-explanatory award, but it's also one of our most important. Because like any nonprofit organization, we depend on volunteers to create video programming and to provide support for station operations. This year's recipient has been providing sports commentary for CHS football and CHS hockey for a very long time. I believe it's something like 18 years that he's been doing this. He does it purely as a volunteer, teaming up with Charlie Russell, who we'll be actually hearing about more later. But first, let's hear from Peter, where he'll tell us about how he got started with Concord TV and how he gets involved.
Yeah, so I'm Peter Burgess, and I can't remember when I started with Concord TV, but it was probably, I mean, I came back to New Hampshire in 2001, so it was just after that, probably 2000, maybe 2001 or 2002. We just, a friend of mine, Mike Eschenbach, when he's the one that got me kind of started with Concord TV, and he said, well, why don't you do a sports show? And so I was talking to a friend of mine, Dave Dunsmore, and I'm like, hey, let's do it. And because I was trying to get somebody, I didn't want to do it alone, like I'm sitting here doing this alone. So it was kind of cool. So I had the Sports Junkies show, and then Charlie Russell just one day said, hey, Concord High is playing Bishop Brady, and they're supposed to be really good. And I think he's like, Kelly Madden's really good, and they got a good team, and we should go, come down and do it. So all three of us that day that were on the show, Skip and Kurt, we all went to the game and did the game. But then the next week, Charlie's like, hey, you want to do it again? And then the other guys didn't want to do it. And then it was every game. And then it was, hey, let's do, Bishop Brady games too. So we were doing, Concord High games and Bishop Brady games, and then it became, hey, let's go down to Skate 3, or let's go up to Hanover, or let's go. So we do away games too, and yeah, I mean it. And Charlie's joke about it is it gets you through the winter, and it really does, because by the time hockey starts, it's right around Christmas, and by the time it's over, it's just before spring. It usually ends right a couple of days before or after my birthday. So when they win the championship like they did this year, they won, I think it was the day before my birthday. So I always say, it's my birthday present when they win.
So in 18 seasons, what are some of the memorable calls or memorable games that stand out to you?
Well, I mean, obviously they won in 2010, and then the past 2 years, that with the pandemic, the championship game against Bedford got canceled, but we all know that we would have won that game. And then we won again last year, and really the last 2 years, I think the team, I've not seen a better team in the past 2 years. They've been so good. I mean, even today, once in a while, but during the heyday of the show, I would be at Boutwell's, or I would be at Walmart, and people would say, hey, aren't you that Sports Junkies guy? And one time I was at Boutwell's, and these kids wanted to meet me, and I was like, this is kind of weird. And they're like, we watch your show every week. And I'm like, no, you don't. And then they started quoting stuff from the show, and I'm like, oh my God, people actually watch this.
Law takes an E, and the Crimson Tide are your Division I football champions for 2013, and an undefeated season.
First time in 13 years, and
Concord team and the fans are going wild here.
Strike up the band.
And there's our final score.
I mean, I'm not a professional by any means. It's just fun. It's a hobby. But if Concord TV wasn't here, I wouldn't be doing it.
Next, we want to recognize two community members who have recently termed off of the Concord TV Board of Directors, Charles Russell and Kelly Cuomo Wing. Charles, who we call Charlie, you'll note, is the namesake of our volunteer award. We can't say enough how much Charlie has meant to us as an advocate, former board chair, longtime volunteer sports producer, and so much more. So thank you, Charlie, for all you've done and all you'll continue to do. Kelly served for 4 years on our board of directors, and during that time she provided a lot of valuable feedback to us from her expertise in the nonprofit sector. Some of that specific feedback was especially helpful during our executive director transition, and it really helped shape our 2019-2020 year. She will be greatly missed on our board, but will continue to be a resource for us as a nonprofit expert. So thank you, Kelly, again, for everything you've offered us and for continuing to be a supporter of ours. The Tyson Award could be thought of as a Lifetime Achievement Award for Concord TV. It's named after the Tyson couple, a husband and wife who had a long-time community television show in Concord, really early on in our organization's existence. Previous winners include what I'd consider to be sort of a Hall of Fame of our organization, including Gene Connolly, Tanya Rochette, Matt Newton, Glenn Matthews, and Doris Ballard, amongst those being the most recent recipients. So I'm honored to say that this year's Tyson Award goes to former board member Alwyn Fine, who since 2015 served as an incredible board member and board treasurer. In this interview, you'll learn more about Alwyn and her contributions not only to Concord TV, but to the entire Concord community.
My first involvement coming to Concord TV was to do shows with David for the What's Happening at the Audi. I can't recall that I did anything before that, but we've been doing that for many years. It was at a time when I believe the treasurer had to leave in the middle of a term, and I was approached to come in and take over as treasurer of the board for Concord TV. And then the following year, someone else was elected as the treasurer, but I was asked to be on the board. And when Doris found out that I still had an interest in doing the treasurer, she, I guess I got nominated the next year because the treasurer that came in to do it had to leave. So I'm sort of the substitute treasurer. I was very involved with Junior Service League, directing shows. First I was an actor in the shows, and then I started directing them and got very involved in their puppet theater, directing puppets, helping to build the marionettes, helping to build them. And that graduated to involvement with the Concord Music Club, and I became president eventually of the music club. Before that I was treasurer. And then I got involved with the Community Players of Concord and was involved as a worker and a director and a producer and president of that organization. After that, and during that time, I was involved with the Friends of the Concord City Auditorium. I was treasurer for 20 years and then became president. I'm still involved with the Friends of the Concord City Auditorium. Well, I think it's wonderful, and I did get an opportunity to be a sort of observer and worker at one of the Boys and Girls Club's auctions when I was on a camera one of the years. I got more involved in the last 18 months of the pandemic because with Walker Lecture, we've been fortunately using the Concord TV to do most of our programming through the Zoom programs. And you broadcasting them, Concord TV broadcasting them. I enjoyed the 6 years and learning the various aspects of what Concord TV does.
Thank you again, Alwyn, and congratulations to all of tonight's recipients. You've all done so much to help Concord TV become a thriving nonprofit community media station, and we can't say thank you enough. And that wraps up this year's Concord TV Annual Awards. It's been an honor to be able to tell you about these incredible individuals and organizations. Really, you've gotten a snapshot of Concord TV's history, and part of what makes Concord TV such a special collaborative environment. If you want to get involved, please reach out to our staff, because we're always looking for more volunteers, producers, anything that you can offer to help this organization. Thanks for watching.